And it is a great pleasure to welcome with us today on the Book Talk segment of this show, man and woman who have written a very interesting book. I think it's going to help a lot of people, either who are married or maybe thinking about it. It's called Making Marriage Simple, 10 Truths for Changing the Relationship You Have into the One You Want. We're joined by Harville Hendrix, Dr. Harville Hendrix, and also Dr. Helen Hunt. And thanks for being with us. How are you today?
We are great. I'm great. Helen said she's great. She can speak for herself, though.
Yes, doing well.
Doing well.
Good to talk to you both. I had a chance to read through the book. First of all, what's it like writing a book as a husband and wife? Did that cause any trouble in the marriage? I guess not.
No, it was pretty joyful. This book was my idea, and I just approached Harville about 3 years ago and asked him if I could produce a book that was that took some of the depth of the first book and the depth that's on Harville's appearances on Oprah, and this book would show another side of Harville. Harville is actually a great big goofball. He's just hilarious. And when we do workshops together, we laugh, and we have a lot of fun, and it's often catalyzed by Harville and his funny way of saying things. And I said, you say enough funny things that I think I can put together 10 of these and make them into a fun book with cartoons and polka dots on the cover, and that's what we did, and that's what you're holding in your hand.
Okay.
And it was easy because we have been in this conversation for 30 years, or 35 years, in fact, ever since we met. So Helen is essentially a co-creator of Imago Therapy, and therefore, and without whom Imago Therapy would not have come into being. So it was easy because she, as a co-creator of therapy, could do the book, and she has this great capacity to see the core things, the simple things, and capacity to communicate. So it was great working with her because she's a great author and a great person.
Yeah, the previous book, just for the people who may not be aware, Getting the Love You Want, which was a great best-selling book that you wrote, Harville, in the past, and this kind of a follow-up to it. I like the way you kind of set it up. You kind of mentioned it already, Helen, just the way you have some of the pictures in there to kind of illustrate the different 10 truths that you've written about. And how did you kind of break it down into those 10?
Oh, well, they seem sort of obvious doing the workshops with Harville. There's an organic life to it, where two people are first invited to realize that incompatibility is the grounds for marriage. We're out here to dispel a myth that if you're struggling in your marriage, it means you're married to the wrong person. That is not true. If you're struggling in your marriage, it means that a transformation may be right around the corner. So that is the second chapter, that conflict isn't a problem to avoid. Conflict is growth trying to happen. And then we take a couple through a process on how to handle conflict, which is the dialogue process. And then you top it off with inviting a couple to make that commitment to zero negativity in their relationship. And with those 4 things, every single couple can have a transformation and have the marriage of their dreams.
You kind of point out in the book, it always seemed to me recently, anyway, the last maybe 10 or 15 years, that people give up too soon. Not only if maybe they're not married, even if they're just in a relationship, but people tend to give up. And you make the point that it's okay to have disagreements. You don't have to be disagreeable, but you can argue, I guess, in a way that's healthy, right?
Yes, you can, and to give up usually means that if you're arguing, most people think that you're with the wrong person, and therefore you have a bad relationship. But what we've discovered in our long journey through marriage is that conflict, it belongs to relationships. It's natural there. It's the second stage after romantic love. You are going to go into conflict. That's just the way nature set it up. And the reason the conflict is there is because you haven't finished growing, and the conflict is growth trying to happen. So you have to look at your conflict not as a bad relationship, but as a message that some growth is necessary. And that growth we've been pretty much able to identify is that you grow parts of yourself you didn't get to grow as child. And the marriage evokes those parts of your undeveloped self so that you become a more whole person in the relationship.
Do you think people, both of you can answer this, make it too complicated? They go into it maybe with unrealistic expectations and they just make things more complex than they need to be?
Well, yeah. It's maybe that they don't know what to do with their unrealistic expectations. You could call them unrealistic, and yet we sort of think the expectations may make sense, that we really do want our partner to help meet all of our needs. And Freud said that at the end of psychoanalysis, we need to resign ourselves to human misery, that our partners and the people in our world are not really going to make life a picnic for us. Life is miserable, and at the end of life, you have to accept that. Well, we take issue with that. We really think that marriage can be a place where your needs are met. These needs are not unrealistic, but the issue is learning to take turns meeting each other's needs and doing it in a more lighthearted, beautiful way. And so we chart that course in this simple book.
Yeah, one of your truths, number 9, is your marriage is a laughing matter, which is sense of humor is important. Not only important, I guess it's necessary or vital, right?
It's vital. It's necessary to do pleasure things, to do caring behaviors, to do surprises, to give each other appreciations, and to laugh. And the reason for that is that when you do the pleasure things, you generate endorphins in your bloodstream. That is, your body has its own chemicals, and that makes you have a sense of well-being with your partner, so that is a deeper bonding experience. So the laughter is essential to have a total sense of being with each other.
It seems like people are waiting longer now. I think you may have even pointed out in the book to get married nowadays. Do you think that's going to change back to, my parents and that generation got married maybe in their earlier 20s or mid-20s? People are waiting longer now. Is that a trend that's going to change or keep the way it is?
Well, we think that it's going to be the way it is probably for another decade or two. Mm-hmm. That we're going through a period of real skepticism about marriage, and that the form of marriage, which has been a dominator-subordinate marriage, somebody is in charge and the other person has to submit, is slowly dying and being replaced by a partnership, egalitarian marriage, and that will make marriage the most attractive relationship that human beings have been able to create. And we think that as soon as we get through this transition from the dominator-subordinate to the partnership marriage, that marriage will become the most popular thing, and the age of getting married will go back up.
Great, good to hear. Making Marriage Simple is the name of the book, 10 Truths for Changing the Relationship You Have into the One You Want. We've been talking with Drs. Harville Hendrix and Helen Hunt today. And give out a website that people can get a hold of the book or get a hold of you if they like.
MakingMarriageSimple.com is one, and then I have a personal website, HarvilleHendrix.com. And then our organizational website is GettingTheLoveYouWant.com, which is the name of the first book. And there is access to over 2,000 therapists around the world if people want to get involved in imagotherapy.
Great. No, we didn't have time to really get into that imagotherapy. It's a fascinating topic in the book, and people can get a hold of the website to get more on that. And doctors, a pleasure to talk to you. Hopefully we can do it again. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.